Hey, call hold on like Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Kakodash. Yahweh being the name of who people call God, whose name is Yahweh, in the actual Hebrew tongue, and the name of his son, Yahweh Shai, who people have been calling Jesus, all right, whose name is Yahweh Shai. All right. Salutations, double honors chiefly to the elder apostles over the great millstone church, as well as the elder bishops, on down to the rest of the Akim of the GMS branches under the same doctrine, also hold forth the same doctrine. I should say the word of life and pushing it in all true faith and sincerity across the four corners of the globe. All right, nonetheless and regardless. All right, so we are the true Hebrew Israelites. All right, the people of the book coming back. And in this lesson, just pretty much I'm just gonna be continuing, as you see on the screen, this lesson that was entitled We Are the Lord's Weapons of War. We are the Lord's weapons of war, in which the dang battery, the phone, Satan kept messing with the damn phone, the phone's battery, and it was charging, but then it cut off and it cut back on. So pretty much we just decided, the brother, myself, me and the brother, we decided to pretty much just do a continuation of it, which is kind of what I'll be doing here, but more so I'll be hyper focusing on what the lesson was actually going to be named, and that was the battle axes. Thou art my battle axes. But how the Spirit had it go, we just titled it this. And when dealing with that title, that original title was going to be Thou art my battle axe, in which I'll be titling this video. That's dealing with us being the Lord's weapons of war. Because you got some that would like to believe that's talking about Assyria, right? Or which I'm gonna pull up right here in Jeremiah 51 and verse 20, right? Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. That's talking about Jake, but you got dumb niggas that think because they read only other translations and they don't believe Babylon is back, America's Babylon, a bunch of reprobate ass dudes that came on the comment board one day. This one dude who don't know the scriptures at all, nor understand how the scriptures work, and is a false prophet. You know what I'm saying? He think because he read in other translations, like right here in the AMP, you Cyrus of Persia. That's what I meant, because the Persians is who came after the Babylonian empire, the Babylonian captivity. That's who took down the Babylonians, if you will, right? But then they got took down. So this is how you know this is not talking about them. It says, you Cyrus of Persia, soon to conquer Babylon. You are my battle axe and weapon of war. For with you will I shatter nations. With you I destroy kingdoms. So how the hell they get destroyed? By the Greeks. Alexander, hence the movie 300. And then how did the Greeks get thrown down by who were Edomites, Idumeans, basically by other Edomites, which was the Romans. And then how did they fall? To where the Holy Roman Empire, basically they went on pause because that Holy Roman Empire wasn't a part of that statue, right? But it was a time period which Rome fell. They went into the caves, and Jake pretty much, which that spoke about in the book of Revelation. I want to say, what's that? I don't want to misquote it. I'm gonna get it right on the screen. bear with me, Revelation, I want to say 20 or 21. I believe it's 20 though. Revelation 20. Yeah, Revelation 20 and 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, right? Which was depicted to be red. When you jump to the earlier chapters in the book of Esau, I said the book of Esau, the book of Revelation, in which Esau was in the Bible, obviously, the book of the Bible, which also depicts Esau specifically, you know, and as a keyword of being red. So that's dealing with Esau being bound as that great serpent, that old serpent, as that red dragon. I believe is Revelation 11. And where is that? It's like not Revelation 11, Revelation 12. And one second. Let me pull it up. What I'm alluding to. 12 and 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. Revelation 12 and 3. And behold, a great red dragon. See that? Having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. So again, when you go back to that Revelation 20, it says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent. See that red dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So it's talking about Esau, who was said to be red. When you go to the book of Genesis, for those that don't know about that, and it's just to help make the point clear. When you go to Genesis 25, get your sword, flip along. Revelation 25 and 24, it says, and when her days were to be fulfilled, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. See that? And it says, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 80 years when she bare him. So Esau was depicted to be red. So when you read in that Revelation 20, where it's talking about that dragon, that old serpent that was called the devil and Satan was bound, it's talking about that red, that dragon, that old serpent, that red dragon. You see what I'm saying? Was that red baby. He's talking about a time when basically Esau, the so-called white man, was in power as the Holy Roman Empire, and they fell, and they was bound. He was chased into the damn caves, the Caucasus Mountains. All right, and that's where you get the so-called medieval times, where they say it was the Dark Ages. And matter of fact, yeah, that it was pretty much said to be 1,000 years. But and I could pull it up, but I'll just say that heat for another lesson. So this is spot on. You know, as far as being taught, you know, from our elders, you know, our elder apostles on down, that this Revelation 20 is completely historically talking about the time period known as the medieval times. Hence, when you know when Jake, you know, when the Southern Kingdom ruled Europe for 1,000 years. All right, because that's what the scriptures say that the damn Esau was bound for 1,000 years. Where the hell he go? You know, and what was he at? What was his estate before he was bound? What was his state? His estate before he was bound with a great chain. See that? Ruling over Jake as the Romans. All right. So, but that's pretty much that. But my point is, right? All these empires, because then the so-called Holy Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire will fall, and then what? We will go down, and basically that final part of Rome coming back, that final part of the statue, right, was basically Esau coming back into power to pretty much try to achieve what they was trying to do the first time, was take over the whole earth, not only as the Greeks, but specifically as the final form of Edomites, a better form, I should say, of the Edomites, which is why the damn the part of was what was the segment of Rome was what represented the segment of Rome was iron. All right, and that's talking about Rome. Make sure I ain't misquote that. Let's pull that up in the book of Daniel, and then they will come back, as miry clay. You just roughly let me get this because I'm not butchering that. Daniel 3. It says what? Yep, Daniel 3. And let's start at 38. See, this is tough. It says so this is basically breaking down how we the battle axe. So we wasn't talking about goddamn Cyrus, because when you go into Cyrus, where was I at? Right here. He says, when you read this in this translation, it don't make sense because it says, you, Cyrus, soon to conquer Babylon, are my battle axe and weapon of war. For with you, with you, I shattered nations. That's not what happened. With you, I destroy kingdoms. Because they goddamn, so how the hell the Lord going to destroy these kingdoms now if they're gone? Because that's not ultimately what the Lord was talking about, who the Lord was talking to. That's why it says in the previous verse it's talking about Israel, it's talking about Jake, But before I even jump the gun, coming back here, when you go to the book of Daniel 3, these translators put it like this because they don't believe that the Lord will do such a thing with his people, that we will be used to goddamn destroy. Which, if you know the statue, if you know the prophecy, the symbolism of the statue that Nebuchadnezzar, who the king of Babylon, dreamed about, in which Daniel Allah interpreted, was used to interpret, which we're going to read, you would know the one to fulfill that will be Jake. Because at the end of that statue, which is when Rome comes back, who, in a weaker form of itself, which is seen in the materials, the metals that the Lord likens each segment to, which are just representations for, different times of, all types of people ruling, all types of heathen ruling, When you go to the top of it, you got the head of gold, which is talking about what? Him, Nebuchadnezzar. All right? What? It's my bad. Chapter 2. But I ain't even gotta say all this. The king's forgotten dream. Let's jump straight to the point. Daniel 2, and let's start at 22. It says, matter of fact, let's start at 21. And he changes the times and the seasons. See, and he changed the times and the seasons. Who? Some of the Most High. Verse 20, Daniel answered and said, blessed be the name of Yahweh forever and ever. For wisdom and might are his. And he changed the times and the seasons. He removed kings and set it up kings. See that? So that's how this go. All right? So that wasn't the job given to damn Cyrus, if you will. But that's what that battle axe was said to have the power to do. It's going to take down all kings. It's who the Lord uses to take down kingdoms, which that was given to Jake. How Jake going to do that with Jake not having no carnal military might, through the spiritual military might. Hence, the Lord turning them into, giving them spiritual power to start with the elect brothers, the men, the elect, and make to where they're likened unto, because of those things, weapons themselves. Hence, a military who would then also labor with the angels, who are of the Lord's military. All right, with the top angel Michael, and then the top of the angels Yahweh Shai. Right, all for the will of the Most High power, which is Yahweh, who's what? Because why? Who's a man of war? Because he's a man of war. Because he's trying to get peace. It's a purpose to this. So again, he removed kings and set it up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. He revealed the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him. So that is going to be revealed. That's already been revealed. When you read that whole chapter, it's talking about, first of all, it's talking about, ultimately, it's truly talking about spiritual Babylon. Because he said at the end of the chapter that he told Jeremiah was to write all these things against Babylon for its sin against Israel. See that? And he was supposed to tie a stone to the book, throw it in the Euphrates River, and that was to represent that Babylon was to sink and never, ever be able to rise again. So how the hell Babylon back? Because that's going to be fulfilled this time. See that? Now, and then it was even heavier about that. It brought it when you go to Isaiah 14, the Lord said, cut off son, the nephew, all of those things of Esau, to where they not able to rise anymore. So you cut off the offspring. So the Lord understands that, to where they can't rise anymore, because basically if your offspring is here, the offspring or something is still here. Essentially, it's still here, And that's why it also says in the book of Sirach, though that man departed, who was the enemy of whoever, right? Although that happened, but because he had a son and he taught that son, it's as if he hasn't left. They talk about that in the book of Sirach, like in the 30s somewhere. All right. So you could, how many ways you want to flip it? So what would there be? How would that have been fulfilled, right? If this Babylon was destroyed and never rose again, if the Lord would say right after that, it's a daughter of Babylon. See that? Makes no sense. And then in the same chapter, talk about how the cup was used that all nations have drunk of and made people mad. Once that place was to go down, that won't happen no more. But people are said to now, right, well post after Babylon, right, ancient Babylon, are to still be drinking of that same cup of Babylon, drunk. Yahweh Shah himself confirmed that. So these men don't know what the hell they talking about, man. But because I'm going into, some historical facts, I like dealing with the history through the spirit, you know, even if I don't do it as much as I ought to, but nonetheless, anyway, this is Daniel 2 and jumping to the point 36. It says, look, Medio-Persian Empire. All right, I'm gonna start at, matter of fact, let's start at 36. Or this the king's dream. Verse 31, O king, sawest a great, thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. The image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver. So it's lessening. His belly and his thighs of brass. See how it's going down in metals and metal grades, if you will, as far as what man esteemed. But nonetheless, it says his legs of iron, but it's a reason for that. Because iron is actually, like, as far as like being desirable, right? Precious of the precious metals. Iron will be underneath these. But when you actually deal with iron, it's harder than all of these metals. That's why it was used to represent Esau, and the Roman Empire was the one of the most fiercest empires. You see that? It says his feet part of iron and part of clay. So that tells you this feet is technically still the legs. That was all iron. It's just in a weaker form. See that? And we're not even in the feet anymore. We're in the damn toes, right? Which is a part of the feet. We're at the end of the feet, which it says, which goes on and gets talked about. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands. See, it's not outside of all of this. It's not even a metal. It says, which smote the image upon his feet, which smote the image. What did? A stone. Cyrus was not that stone, right? And again, all of these metals represented what? Kingdoms, empires. And Cyrus himself was on it. Cyrus was the arms of silver, the breast and arms of silver. All right? And the Greeks was the thighs of brass, who took down, because the head was Nebuchadnezzar, the head of gold, the arms of silver, right? Hence representing the Babylonian captivity, right? Babylon, what the 51st chapter of Jeremiah is talking about, right? But that was taken down. What Cyrus was used to take down, we're not teaching that. He was used the Pedo or the Persian Median Empire was used to take down the Babylonian Empire. So the silver, because that's what it represents, like as far as the steps, the orders of it. The gold is first, then the silver will follow. These are all heathen empires. So the Babylonian Empire, give me a second. But to speed this up, man, Salakia. So that's that, right? So the silver will be the Persians and the Medes. They would take down the Babylonians. Hence, led by Nebuchadnezzar. You know, the Babylonians, that is, the gold, the head of gold, will be taken down by Cyrus, the head of the kingdom of the Persians and the Medes. See that? That's it. That's that. But then they get took down because it's a belly, right? And thighs that follow, which would be who? The Greeks. The Greeks would take down the Persians and the Medes. That's what the movie 300 is about. It's about that time period. This is all factual history that the Bible is already talking about well before that movie even came out. This is always in the Bible. Daniel 2 always existed. And this was well before the Bible was put together. We was already ahead of this, right? We was telling them this was gonna happen. You gonna go down and this kingdom gonna go down. We telling you, fucking all these kingdoms gonna go down by Israel through Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, which is used, which is used like this stone, like a stone, which is who this stone is talking about. That's cut out without hands. It's not of man. It's of God. Hence spiritual power. Men getting the spiritual power. I have said ye are gods, but ye shall die like men. See that? So this stones wasn't made by men, but men make all these things, right? If you will. It says that men can't touch it in order for it to come out right. Don't have to touch it in order for it to come out as it is. You know? It says, thou sawest till it says his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet. There that were of iron and clay, and break them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together. See that? And that go back to what? Jeremiah 51. And by what? Hence all these kingdoms was took down by what? By the damn stone, man. You know? Not the damn stone, which that stone is talking about what? Yahweh Shah. All right? The government that Yahweh Shah was set up, hence Israel. The saints. When you go back here, Jeremiah 51, now are my battle axe, and 20, it says, and weapons of war. For with thee, and then it just told you weapons. That's plural. Cyrus, one person. He wasn't a nation. It says, for with thee will I break in pieces the nations. That's plural. Before, the Persians was only one nation, according to the empire. See that? Then they got took down, man. So the Lord, it wasn't about him, man. It says, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. Kingdoms. How? The only kingdom they took down was the Babylonians. But men don't believe this because they reprobates. And they read these other translations while not even understanding the scriptures first and foremost. When all these scriptures, all these translations is conformable to that of the KJV, the 1611, all of them. Muslims know their history, man. You, Cyrus of Persia, soon to conquer Babylon. The Lord said, kingdoms are my battle axe and weapon of war. For with you, I shatter nations. With you, I destroy kingdoms. That's a fucking lie. That's not it. Because the only kingdom he took down was the Babylonians. He didn't take down the Persians. That they was took down by the Greeks. They didn't take down the Greeks. They ain't take down the Romans. They ain't taking down. They ain't take down. They're not coming back to take down the dang latter end of the Romans. Esau. It's not happening. We gonna take down Esau. Because that's the last kingdom. And you can get a quick scripture to prove that when you go to Ezekiel 25 and 14. You see the judgment on the Gentile nations. All right, let's jump here. Edom. It says, I'm going to start at 12. Thus saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, because that Edom have dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance and have greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Yeah, still mad over the birthright. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, I will stretch out my hand upon Edom and will cut off man and beast from it. And I will make it most desolate, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of the Don shall fall by the sword, right? And I will lay vengeance upon Edom. That's the point, by the hand, and I will lay vengeance upon Edom. See, so that last part of that statue. The feet, part of iron, part of miry clay. And I will lay vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people, Israel, and they shall do in Edom. See that? Not Cyrus, not the Babylon, not the damn Persians and the Medes. It says, and they shall do in Edom according to my anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord Yahweh. And that's it, man. So you don't know what you're talking about. All right. So when you go on, and I was gonna speak on it last night, which was spiritual, but I didn't. And a damn frog was in the back of my crib or whatever, man. Which, you know, frogs represent unclean spirits, right? When we was naming the lesson, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna hold off on it because I just wanted to discern it. But you was that damn unclean frog, man. You know? And because it said the damn, look, let me read this real quick. Because one just be thinking brothers just be talking. Right when we was gonna make it just quick to the point, this, and I'm considering, like, you know, I ain't trying to argue and all that. I get told it's a frog in the back. So I'm talking to the brother like, yeah, that represent unclean spirits, an unclean spirit. Because it tell you that in the book of Revelation. Slocky, man, this shit. Anyway, this is Revelation 16. Yeah, 16 and 13. It says, 3, my bad. Armageddon. Says what? It says, that's spiritual. Talking about the great river of Euphrates. I was just mentioning that. But anyway, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon. See that? And out of the mouth of the dragon, right, of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. See that? So these false prophets, a frog represents an unclean spirit, you know, one of a false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles. See that? For they are the spirits of devils working miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to battle of that great day of the Most High Almighty. You know? So I'm like, the timing of it is crazy. So I'm gonna digress for now. But nonetheless, this is in the NLT. They are demonic spirits who work miracles and go out to all the rulers of the world to gather them for battle against the Lord. See that? On the great day of the God Almighty, right? So all these damn false prophets are still helping the battle happen. All right? They being used. All right? This is exactly why, man. So dude's an unclean spirit. It was seen in the same time, man. All right? So that's that. Because this you know, this lesson is like that one kind of all over the place. It ain't all over the place, but you know. So that's off, man. This talking about Jake. All right? And I really could just jump to the point there because I already explained the statue. The interpretation, Daniel 2 and 36, this is the dream. And we will turn, my bad, let me finish this. It says, thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay and break them to pieces. So since I say that, let me just jump here and prove this. Jeremiah 51 and 19. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things. And Israel is the rod of his inheritance. What do you do with rods, right? You lead. You break in nations what? My bad. You break in pieces what? The nations. You see that? Revelation 2. Jump to the red. Let's make it red letter, right? This out of the Messiah mouth himself. He said, what? Revelation 2 and 26. I'm going to start at 25. But that which ye have, hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. See that? And you're going to be able to do that when you got a new body, man. Because you of that rod of iron. You can't break iron. You see what I'm saying? So we ain't gonna be able to be killed. You know what I'm saying? Something you can't defile. And we gonna rule with the rule of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, the rule of the scriptures. Nobody can defy that. Everybody, that's why I said every tongue and knee gonna confess and bow. You know, bow, confess, roughly paraphrasing. So that's why we want to walk according to this rule and take this back up as our inheritance. All they that take hold of the book of the commandments of the Lord, you know, comes to life. He said, take ye hold of it, Jacob. For all that do so shall come to life, but all that leave it shall die. You see what I'm saying? People made to submit through you to this, which this is your heritage, what you lead with, what you rule with. And everybody's subject to this that don't have this as their heritage. The only people that have it as their inheritance, I said their inheritance, but their heritage are the Israelites. And the only people that's gonna hold to that, get knowledge of that and hold to it are the elect. You see that? And in these scriptures it say we getting damn spiritual power, man. All right. Salaki, not roughly paraphrasing, but Salaki, I said damn spiritual power. Just spiritual power. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, meaning pieces, even as I received of my father. And who is the day? The nations. But it's specifically talking about who? The heathen. All right? Because he said, even as he received of his father. Thus showing you Yahweh Shai is that stone. This is Psalms chapter 2. And I'm gonna start at let's jump to the point. Let's start at 2. Let's start at 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, and against his anointed, meaning Israel. Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Exactly. That's how they got in the power. But nonetheless, he that sitteth in heaven shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. You know? It says, then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. Exactly. They being vexed, knowing they going to rule over us. They getting these dreams. They see us on the streets, you know, but then you got these sellout goofy dudes, these false prophets that are really helping bring in the end, and they don't even know it, who are trying to suffice these heathens and let them in, you know? And that's why the Lord got to bring that sword, man. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. See that? Lord got one king, right? And that's Yahweh Shai. That's Jacob, you know? Hence Yahweh Shai. You know? It says to where it's Jacob, is Jacob, which is why Yahweh Shai, who, you know, who's actually the King of Kings, the Lords of Lords, was born through Jacob, of Jacob. So that can all manifest. But before I say that, to where we can also rule too with him, because it's Jacob. It said the Lord gonna rule through Jacob. He ruled the nations through Jacob as what? A rod. You know? You get out of that real quick. And this is why the Lord said Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Psalms 59:13. Consume them in wrath. Consume them that they may not be. Exactly. Take all these heathens out of power and let them know that Yahweh, right, ruleth in Jacob. See that? Unto the ends of the earth. So that's what that rod is talking about. represents, it's the word there is actually scepter, all right? Which we're the Lord's scepter. And that scepter, hence that rod, is said to be used to break in pieces these people. Hence Esau, he's gonna destroy Edom by the hands of his people. Because the Lord don't do nothing, man. We're gonna be used to take down these kingdoms, right? The kingdom of Yahweh is gonna be used. The kingdom of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. Who's the kingdom of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah? Israel. That's why he said the kingdom was within you. And that also take you to the book of Daniel. All right. Let me grab that too real quick. I believe that's Daniel in the 7th chapter, and at the end of the verse, it says, matter of fact, yep, this is Daniel 7:23. Let's start at 22. Until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. See, judgment, power. And that's why we getting this heritage in this Bible back. The inheritance of this. Y'all got to understand this is really happening, whether you believe or not, man. Everybody ain't ready for it. Like that's why the Lord said, those looking back ain't fit. You know, you might just have to stay here and die here because you're on a low level. It's not a coincidence, right? And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom, right? Everything that's of the kingdom, which is these scriptures, get you and your right mind, you and yourself, and then these goddamn heathen. You already seeing the signs with the animals. A dog shall not move his tongue again, you know what I'm saying? So forth and so on, man. And that's talking about the heathen. Well, you got people on earth completely confessing. I know to us they do. Yeah, we know you guys, the Israelites, the Jews, blah, blah, blah. You know? Why? Because all that's of the kingdom. We're starting to take the kingdom. Assume the position. It's just a matter of time when the rest of the prophecies play out. We got to play our role. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all the kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Let me jump to the point. Matter of fact, I know that one. Daniel 2:44, the divine kingdom. All right. And then that take me right back to Daniel. So matter of fact, let's keep that there. And let's just jump back here and jump to 44. It says the divine kingdom. And in those days, right? Or you know what? Let's just read through. And then it's telling you, they telling you right here. I didn't even know the Blue Letter had all of this. On this, they telling you what each one represented. And they're right. So again, let's start at 36. This is the dream, the interpretation. Babylon, the first kingdom. And we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings. For the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, see, the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven hath he given into thy hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. Medio, it says Medo, Persian, and Greece, right? It says, and after these shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, right? But they gonna take you down. It says, and another, which was what? The chest and arms of silver, hence the Medio and Persians, hence Cyrus. And then it said, then Daniel said, and another third kingdom of brass, which was who? Alexander the Greek, the so-called great, you know, hence the Greeks. All right, Esau on the scene now in his own world. And another third kingdom of brass, which is them, it says, which shall bear rule over all the earth. Exactly. Hence the earth given into the hand of the wicked. Rome, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron. See that? But when it comes to being desirable, precious, it ain't on that level. So it would be like last. But it would be of iron because they will have the hardest rule. See that, if you will. The worst, see, they the wicked. One of the worst captivities, man. It says because Rome was a mixture of the Greeks. They took over what the Greeks did, which was Hellenize us, and they continued. It was just disgusting. It says, "For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things." See that? So you would have had a better chance of saying that was talking about, the Romans. Just if you're going following the context of the scriptures, it says, "For as much as uh the will of Yahweh Shem Shah, the prophecies," but these people don't understand it. It says, "For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron breaketh that breaketh all these shall break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron." Right? That was the latter end, because they will fall as the fourth kingdom. Disappear. Hence Revelation 20. Angel will come and subdue them. Because think about it. Rome was the hardest rule, so they should still be ruling as iron. But the Lord couldn't let that happen. So they had to fall. That's how you know Revelation 20 is talking about why Rome went down. Because if they would have achieved what they was trying to do, it wouldn't be a need for America, if you will, right? If you will, I'm just saying in where they was actually at, the shit they was on, which they're the same people of the Americas, all right? Starting with the elite bankers and all that, because back in Rome they had the elites. They had the plebeians versus the patricians. The patricians going into the fathers, the bloodlines, the 300 patras, right? The 300 fathers, 300 families. You see what I'm saying? And here we are today, but it's a weaker form. It says, "And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of clay and part of iron." See that? Weak. It says, "The kingdom shall be divided," but they're right, because what's the division of feet? Where's division seen at on feet? Toes. And a house divided can't stand. See that? You couldn't stand up without toes. You see what I'm saying? They give you grip. They hold things in place, like your fingers. They the fingers of your feet, if you will. It's hard to stand up, I'll say, on your without, with toeless feet. So there you go, man. It says, "For as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, and as the toes were of the feet were a part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken." He breaking it down to him. "And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men." See that? "But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay." So it's just going to be the kingdom of all heathens. The white man's really worked his madness. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people's philosophies is here. It's a lot of, interracial mixing going on, breeding, and then, what I'm saying, the whole kingdom is set up for the rule of for all heathens to be able to benefit. But again, it's still Esau's kingdom, the white man's. So it's just retarded. It's retardation at its finest. So here you go. The divine kingdom, verse 44. "And in these days, and in the days of these kings, shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed." See, which shall never be destroyed. "And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven," the power of heaven, the creator of heaven and earth, "set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people." See that? Ain't no, our chairman, You got a damn Elamite president over this state, and a Moabite, so-called Chinese man, and he's an Indian. And, Ham could come in and be president, Barack Obama, but really everybody gonna be mainly Edomites, Theodore Roosevelt, Ronald Reagan, George Bush Jr., seniors. It ain't gonna be none of that, man. It's gonna be all Israel. That's it. Y'all had y'all time. That's why we're not, and you can't get mad because we didn't interfere. We didn't interfere. The Lord just had to slow you down with binding your ass for 1,000 years so you didn't destroy the fucking earth. That's why that happened. So, and then we were still in place knowing who we was, so we just picked up right there. And then we was already scattered through, you got to remember, we was already scattered throughout Europe during the time when Yahushua walked through the earth. Remember, Paul was a Roman citizen. He was a citizen of Italy. That's in Europe. See that? So this is all fact. It all line up. Rome disappeared and we disappeared and we took over for 1,000 years. This is facts. They don't tell you that. The Marcanoclasm pictures are real. The niggas want to argue that and not see the good of that. For what that's for. Jake just fucking bugged out. False prophets everywhere. Not keeping thy foot. The overthrowing the faithful son. We getting this spiritual power. We're of that stone. All right? He said we're stones. We're lively stones, like Yahushua, who's the chief cornerstone. We're gonna be used to take down all these fucking kingdoms. How without any physical carnal power? Because we're gonna get spiritual power. It's already in our genes, our DNA. Is watch, which I'm gonna do a lesson on that. That's the God gene about. Esau know these scriptures, man. Once you know about that God gene, you're gonna be like, damn. That's why they was trying to inject Jake with bullshit. We've been designed and built to be able to do certain things and tap into certain things that people can't tap into, that it's possible through the human body. That's why Howard Shah did the things he did. That's why our pineal glands, are being calcified. It's an attack on everything, man, on our whole system, the whole nucleus, everything, brains, everything. But they ain't gonna be able to stop it, man, because they can't kill the spirit. They can't kill the soul. The spirit's strong enough to, still thrive in these bodies. You see that? If the Lord so pleases. But let me go ahead and close this out. It says again, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces. See that? And consume all these kingdoms. See, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Who is that talking about? It's talking about Jake. Hence the kingdom. Why you think the Lord said what? He said the kingdom is with you, within you. You the kingdom. All right? You the kingdom. Let's just prove that real quick. This thing tripping, man. Let me see. I probably typed it wrong. Luke 17:21. Neither shall they say, lo here or lo there. But for behold, the kingdom of God is within you. See that? Why you think it say in Revelation 21, right? And 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Exactly. That's the kingdom. But it's talking about people. It's talking about the Israelites. We're the kingdom. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men. See that? It's plain this whole time. And he will dwell with them. That's why they can't let us get up. We being up is the kingdom. It is the takeover. Us. It wasn't a kingdom it wasn't a kingdom that had its hand on Esau's heel. Started with a person. And all that leads into a physical kingdom. We ain't no kingdom if we not intact. So that's why a kingdom within you. It says, and they shall and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. And that's why you Jake's gonna die for doing wrong by Israelites. Doing evil to Israelites, helping Jake do wicked shit from you women, you wicked ass niggas, wicked ass men. You gonna fucking die, nigga. Lord gonna send hunters. You gonna get your ass destroyed. All right, you gonna be hunted instead of being fished, and that goes into you Edomites too. We gonna hunt y'all ass out those fucking caves that y'all gonna try to go into. They know what's up, man. So you dumbass niggas out there can keep thinking this talking about some shit your pastor talking about, or some shit cause you mad at camps and you just a bug out all you want. You gonna be one of the first ones to get got by these men. That's why it says, thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think, all the scribes and Pharisees was asking Yahushua, like, show us a sign, show us a miracle. So if they would have got that, they would have believed. He's like, ain't no sign going to be given but the prophet Jonas. I'm going to keep y'all honest because you're supposed to judge righteous judgment. It shouldn't take for me to do all this. But you're going to be willing. You will be willing. I will get power. You are going to be willing in that day. But you're going to die at that point. You're going to know it after death by, hence you knowing the same going to know it after death by pain. Because why? You want to choose, learn this way, which is the hard way, because when the power come, that's it. That's the kingdom. It can't be no wicked, corruptible flesh and jakes and shit around. Some biased, respect of persons, jakes around. Y'all gotta go, because you wouldn't have the Lord reign over you. So bring all those that wouldn't have that soul before me and slay them before me. You don't want to wait till the power come. You don't want to wait to a further level of power to come, I should say. All right. So yeah, man, this is Psalm. So again, with thee, he gonna break in pieces, the nations, and as he said, but it shall break in pieces, right, and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Jeremiah 51:18. 19, the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the form of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua of hosts, of armies, is his name. We're a part of that army. We've been called and chose. They don't want us to believe this, though. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, hence kingdoms, and with thee will I destroy the kingdoms. And that's what Yahushua said, right? He's like, hold fast to what you have, and I'm going to give you a rod of iron. You're going to break these nations into shivers, even as I received of my father. Because he going to do the same thing as that stone. But you're going to be able to do it with him because you're of him. You see that? You're a stone too. This is Psalms 2 and 6. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. Yahweh have said unto me, thou art my son. See, this day have I begotten thee. Talking about Yahushua. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. This the point. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. See that? Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. See that? And again, what's the rod? Us. So Yahushua gonna be using us. He's gonna use us to take these motherfuckers down, man. Just like when he physically get here, like he said, bring these ones that wouldn't reign before me and slay them before him. And we're gonna be able to do that because we're gonna be on that level, man. We're gonna have power. So be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth, because when we get that power, it's over with, man. When it's time to manifest that level of power, is over with. Serve the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, and rejoice with trembling. And so you Jakes keep thinking otherwise, you gonna die, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. You gonna die. So that's basically it. I want to just explain. This was talking about. And then another heavy thing, when you go into this word axe, that word axe actually goes into what? Hammer. And hammer goes into the meaning of Judas Maccabeus. You see that? Whose name was the hammer. One of them or his sons. So that's the spirit. So it's talking about Jake. Y'all gonna see we the Lord's weapons of war. It's gonna be needed. You're gonna see how it's gonna manifest, and you getting the reasons why. because all this wickedness going on. So the Lord gonna justify it, vindicate it. Shalom.